Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever you are and whenever you are. So, in this video, we will integrate ServiceNow with Microsoft Entra ID to automate user and identity management. I'll explain the architecture, authentication, and real world use cases so you can apply this integration confidently. So, let's begin. First step in configuring this integration is to register a user in ServiceNow. That is going to be a service account that will help us integrate ServiceNow with Entra ID. And for that, you can click on all and search user administration, and underneath that you will find users. Click on that and then click on new button to create a new user. If you already have a service account that you can leverage, go for it, but if you don't, then create a new one and make sure you're using your organization's defined naming conventions for the user. But as I'm using just my personal developer instance, so I'll name it pretty generic. So we have to give it a user ID, and we need to set a password. So I'll first save it, and then I'll leverage set password button to and generate a random password. So for this demo, I'll rely on the randomly generated password. um, so the user is now registered. I've got the password and username. Step is to register ServiceNow application in the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. So this is the Entra Admin Center. Um, as a ServiceNow developer, you might not have access to this admin center, but in that case, you can reach out to your cloud application administrator or whoever is managing this. You can find out in the organization, and you can reach out to them to get their help registering ServiceNow application in the Entra app gallery. But for the sake of this demo, I am assuming that you have got access to that. So in that case, you log into your Entra Admin Center, and then you'll go to Enterprise Apps under Entra ID. Click on Enterprise Apps, and then you can click on New Application. And once the application gallery is loaded, then you can search ServiceNow in here. So the first applications is ServiceNow. Click on that, and then you have to create application using this form. So default name of this application is ServiceNow, but in case you have multiple ServiceNow applications registered or multiple instances registered, then you can give it more meaningful name, but for now I'll just leave it as is. So the publisher is ServiceNow. Provisioning would be automated. That means once the integration is done, then the new users and whatever configuration we'll do later will be automatically reflected in ServiceNow. So, and the mod of integration we are gonna use is SAML based sign-on. So I think these details looks good. We don't have to make any changes. So let's go and click create. This will take few seconds to register or add the application. So but yeah, once the application is registered in the background, it will display a pop-up message letting you know that the application is registered. So let's wait for a couple of seconds. Yeah, so the application is successfully added. We got the message, we got the details. This is our application ID, and this is our object ID. So the next step 3 is to start provisioning, and for that I will click on provisioning, and then under manage I'll click provisioning again, and then we need to change the provisioning mode to automatic from manual, And with that, we need to provide the basic authentication details. So the instance name I will copy from here. You don't have to provide the full URL. Rather, it's just an instance name. And then I'll copy over the user ID and password. This could be different for you. So please replace um, instance name, username, and password with the correct ones. And once you filled out these details, click on test connection. ServiceNow will test that and will validate. And one thing to consider, we have assigned admin roles. If just in case if you get any error, you have to make sure that the admin role is assigned. So in here, we have mappings information as well. So by default, Microsoft Entra ID will provision users and groups. But if you want to disable groups, or let's say users, you can open up the record and disable that particular configuration. If I scroll down, then we have this settings section which has two options. So first one is to check this checkbox and provide the email address, just in case if you want to send out the notification to a particular email address in case of failure. You can do that here. And then you also have a prevent accidental deletion, where you can provide the threshold number so that you can avoid accidental deletion. And then as the authentication was successful, then now is the time to turn on provisioning. So by default the status is off, but I will turn this to on and then click on save. So the provisioning settings are successfully updated. Our system is now integrated. We have provisioned the users and groups. So by default, Entra ID provisioning runs every 40 minutes, but for now we have an option to run this provision on demand that I'll leverage to show you that the integration is successfully completed. So I'll click on provision on demand, and in here we can select any user or group. So in my system I just have got one user, but in your system or in customers environment there would be thousands of users. So you can try with one of those, or let the system run automatically on the scheduled time. So for this demo I'll select the user that I have in my system and then select provisioning. It's validating if that user is already existing in the system or not. If so, then it will just update that user. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a new user record. So here the user is successfully created in ServiceNow, that we can validate by going to ServiceNow, searching user administration, go to users, and then I can search for the name. In the name column I can search Muhammad Sana. So here we have that user. So this is created just now, which means our provisioning is just working fine. So yeah, I think that was a very high level of how this integration is working and how to configure. In the next video, I will deep dive into the nitty-gritty details and how to attribute different different attributes in the user table or groups table, or in case you have a custom groups table or user table where you wanna provision these users and groups, um, then how to do that. I'll talk about that in the next video. So for now, I think that's it from my side. I hope you have learned something out of this video, and in case if you got any question, comment down below.